What's going on, Kings? It's Keefe. In this video, we're going to be talking about how combining NoFap, meditation, and stopping smoking weed had profound impacts on my life and the benefits of those three things and why they go so well together and why you should be applying all three of these things in your own personal life. Before we get into that though, hit the subscribe button and bell icon. This channel is all about helping you level up and become that high value man you were born to be. And if that resonates, you will love the content on this channel. Now let's get started. So at the beginning and the middle of 2019, I was going through far and away the worst time of my life. Like literally everything had basically fallen apart for me. Now to this point, I had already started doing NoFap and I had started doing the stop smoking weed. I had stopped doing that. But what I started to incorporate in was something that I would honestly now consider the missing link of these three. And you need all three of them. But what I started to do was meditation. Now the reason I'm calling meditation the missing link is because for me personally, I've always been someone who's very action oriented. I'm a very competitive person. I want to win. I like to achieve goals. That's just how I am. That's how I'm wired. So having done NoFap and having done the stop smoking weed, when I stopped doing that, I'd been smoking every single day and just hung around people who smoked every single day. And that's pretty much what we did. If we wanted to have some fun, what we did was we got high, watched TV, did something stupid, just basically wasted time and money. And I really just decided like one day this was not who I wanted to be. I stopped doing that, combined that with like having some porn-induced ED issues and just realizing that probably jerking off wasn't effective, was like not helping me move forward in my life. When I figured all that stuff out and stopped doing those two things, yeah, a lot of things started to move forward, and I actually had some of the most positive times of my life right after I started doing those, and I've made a video on that experience as well, which you can check out after this video if you'd like. But pretty much what happened was these compounded my natural inclination to be very action-oriented, okay? Because basically what NoFap is, in a nutshell, is sure, it's about abstaining from pornography or stopping fapping off, essentially. But at the core of it is this idea of self-improvement. Like, there's no reason to do NoFap if you're just gonna take the time you were jacking off and just stuff your face with donuts and do nothing with it, right? The point is you're supposed to take something that's not helpful and turn it into something that helps you move in the right direction, which is taking that time and using it in a positive way, okay? So you're killing two birds with one stone. You're stopping doing something bad and improving your life. And the same was true for me when I stopped smoking weed. I realized this was not helping me become who I wanted to be, and it was killing my finances as well. So I was like, I need to stop doing this. And so pretty much both of these things, and for most people it's the same way, have the intention of creating positive action in your life. Now, action is incredibly important, and I'm not one of these people who believes that you should just law of attraction, close your eyes, and let shit just kind of happen. It doesn't really work that way. You have to go out and be a human being and like act in the world, right? And so, like I said, great things started to happen when I started to do NoFap and when I stopped smoking weed. I started accomplishing things. I got my real estate license. I started moving ahead in life. But what happens is, as life is one to do, bad shit started happening. And ultimately, the bad shit was stuff that was self-induced in a lot of ways. Even if there's things that I could say I felt like the victim of, or somebody was a bad person, whatever, ultimately they were situations that I put myself in. And the reason that I put myself in bad situations or made bad decisions that put me in a place where I was not doing well in life, like basically everything about my life was in shambles in early until mid-2019, was because of my inability to balance this action with any sense of self-awareness. This is where meditation came in, and this is why it was the missing link that really put these three things together for me and allowed me to start making some more exponential progress in my life, and just not only just kind of trying to smash through obstacles in my way or mental roadblocks, but really learning to be in peace with myself. What happened was I started combining my action-oriented mentality with some sense of self-awareness and learning how to control my feelings, control my thoughts. Where was I focusing my attention? Because to that point, I had done a lot of unconscious things, as we all do. Most people fail to be aware of their biases, their tendencies, and their motives behind things. And they'll do a lot of things that they aren't necessarily proud of. They're unconscious of these kinds of behaviors. Maybe you're being lazy and you don't even notice it because it's a habit to be lazy. Things like that. Basically, stuff that we are asleep at the wheel at about ourselves are keeping us from going and achieving our goals. We might be very action-oriented, very goal-oriented, very focused. We're doing these self-improvement different tactics and all these kinds of things. But at the end of the day, we have no self-control. We don't have that ability to recognize when basically we're acting unconsciously, like I mentioned. Maybe you're being lazy, or maybe you're just being compulsive, or maybe you're hanging around people that you know you shouldn't be hanging around with, or you've just got a habit of acting in a certain way that is keeping you from achieving your goals, or you're just like naturally prone to making bad decisions. A good example of this is, for me, I'm somebody who's very much like a gut feeling kind of person, and I get really like caught up in kind of the glamorous idea of something that I want to accomplish, and I all of a sudden fail to see all the little details, and I fail to recognize the process because I'm so caught up on this big vision. And that's me personally, and that's something I had to come to self-awareness of, and meditation was the key to that. And by doing that, I basically saved myself from the roadblocks that had been hurting me to that point. What you got to understand, guys, especially if you're like me and you're somebody who's very goal-oriented, you've got a lot of big things that you want to accomplish, is that our minds are not very clear thinking. We're not really thinking that clearly. It feels like we're thinking clearly because we're just caught up in our inner dialogue. And because of that, we tend to fool ourselves. We got these huge goals that we want to accomplish, but we're not seeing the process to get there. We're not seeing how we're self-sabotaging along the way. We don't recognize how maybe our thoughts aren't focused in the right direction. Maybe we want all these big things, but we're also afraid that they won't work out. And so we're fixated on the negatives. Or maybe you're focused on all the things that are going wrong rather than all the things that are going right. And you're not noticing the little steps you could take to move towards your goal because maybe you're like me, you're too busy trying to hit a home run rather than consistently move forward. Now, I've talked a lot now to this point about how meditation was the missing link for me, but I know plenty of people, and I'm sure you know these kinds of people, who might meditate, but they don't do shit with their lives, right? Like, there's plenty of white girls with a bunch of essential oils going through their room and dream catchers on the wall, and they meditate and do all that stuff, but they ain't doing shit with their lives, right? Meditation on its own isn't the key either, because you can meditate, you can get some self-awareness, you can get some inner peace and some balance, but if you don't go take it and do anything with it by having goals and committing to actions and stopping doing things that aren't helping you be productive, then it's just not going to get you anywhere. Like I said, action is incredibly key. So this is why these three things have been so powerful when combined, because NoFap and basically just watching porn, jerking off, combine that with smoking weed, were the two things that were really holding me back from achieving big goals in my life from an action perspective. And so when I stopped doing those things, I got a lot of results, but then I ran into my own inner battles, right? The things that I wasn't aware of about myself that I needed to solve so I could keep moving forward. The mental blocks, the bad decisions that I was prone to make just because of who I am as a person, my experiences, dealing with all those kinds of things. And so then I combine meditation in, and I can get out of the way of those things while combining it with action. Now, you might be somebody who's on the opposite side of this thing, and what you need to do is focus on committing to action. Maybe you're doing well with self-awareness. Maybe you are meditating, but this is again why I say combine these three things together. And I'm not the only one who has experienced this. One of my closest friends has also experienced this exact same thing. As he stopped smoking weed, he started doing NoFap, and then he also started meditating, and he was able to balance himself because he was very much going hard. He was going after these things that he wanted to accomplish in his life, but he was struggling with, anxiety, personal doubt, fear. He couldn't stay focused. He lacked discipline, all these kinds of things. And meditation brought all of that together for him, and he learned how to get past all of those kinds of things. And herein lies another way that these things have really played well off each other. One big reason that people smoke weed is to deal with their anxiety. They don't want to deal with it. So what they do is they smoke, and really all the smoking is doing is just masking the anxiety. You're not actually solving the problem, which is why meditation is really powerful because you learn to deal with your anxiety, learn how to let it go and get beyond it and not be controlled by it, and you can find some sense of peace. Along with that, people who do NoFap, they struggle with compulsion when they're trying to stay on NoFap. And the best way to deal with a compulsion is to learn how to meditate so you can learn how to detach from that feeling, and then you control that aspect of your life much easier. So you see all these things come together in such a powerful way, and they've been huge for me. Any real breakthrough I've had in my life has come from a point where I'm taking action from an intended state. I'm going after something I want, and I'm committed to that goal, but I'm also at a state of inner peace, balance. I've recognized where maybe I'm holding myself back, gotten those things out of the way, and just gone forward. And that's when you have the breakthroughs in life. If you look back over your life, you will find that it's the same way for you. You've had this time when you're trying to break through on something, you were taking action, and at the same time, you weren't putting up these mental roadblocks. You weren't resisting yourself and the action moving forward. You got into the right state. These three things combined will put you there. Guys, if you got something out of this video, give me a like, hit the subscribe button and bell icon. You can check out this video right here where I talk about NoFap and quitting smoking weed and how they were so profound on their own to getting that action moving in the right direction. Thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you guys later.